He is a top-tier rich second generation with outstanding skills. He now calls himself Billy in front of me. You can imagine how dreadful my identity is. Upon thinking about this, Mia immediately started to stutter as she explained, I had no idea that Smokey knows you. Before she could finish her sentence, Billy angrily slammed the table and rebuked. How dare you call my friend Smokey a pervert? Do you know that Smokey is the elder brother of my eldest brother? His wealth could bury your ancestors for 20 generations. Upon hearing this, Mia widened her eyes. It turned out that brother Smokey was just pretending to be poor. I mistook him for a poor guy. At this thought, her face turned cold. No, I must make amends. Even if it means offering myself to him. Mia immediately put on a pitiful look. Smokey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to just now. Can you forgive me, please? As soon as she finished speaking, the system immediately sent me a prompt, successfully binding Mia as the target for strategy. Seeing this situation, my eyes chilled. Finally bound. Let's see how I handle you. Then I picked up the teacup and took a sip. Forget it. You are young and don't understand. I was just teasing you. Upon hearing this, Mia immediately became excited. I knew that Smokey really likes me. At the same time, her affection for me continued to soar. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. As expected of the top female streamer with millions of fans. Money can make anything possible. Unfortunately, I won't let you off so easily. At this moment, Billy sitting beside suddenly slammed the table in anger. I, Smokey, have spent millions of votes on you. Yet you just invited him for a simple coffee. With that, he turned to me with a hospitable look. Smokey, as the saying goes, it's better to have chance encounters than planned meetings. Today, Billy is the host. I know a place with great flavors. Smokey, you must honor us with your presence. Upon hearing this, I naturally did not refuse. As the saying goes, if there's a meal, don't be a jerk. Later, Billy politely invited me into his car. Mia, who was beside us, of course, did not miss the opportunity to interact with me. She immediately wanted to come along as well. And then on the way to the restaurant. Although the back seat was so spacious, Mia insisted on squeezing next to me. Seeing me indifferent, Mia said with a grievance, Smokey, are you still mad at me? I know I was wrong. But I still ignored her and took out my phone to open the live streaming app, Smokey said absent-mindedly. Later, I arrived in the live stream room of a woman who looked like a perfect 10. Then I slowly opened my own gift backpack. Seeing this scene, Mia was shocked. Could it be that he is going to? But before she could think too much, I rubbed the rocket button on the backpack for a full 2.5 minutes. I only moved my fingers a few times. The female anchor with millions of fans completely captivated me. You know, it only took me 2 seconds to swipe the phone screen. I sent thousands of super rockets. And the speed of these tickets is enough to make any girl crazy about me. It turns out it was just now. I was trying to teach Mia a lesson. I started watching other female anchors in front of her. Not only that, I also sent over 5,000 rockets to the other person within 2 seconds. The female streamer on the other side was stunned on the spot when she saw this scene. As a newcomer streamer, she had never seen such a scene before. The amount of these gifts alone could buy her 10 houses in her hometown. The more the female streamer thought about it, the more excited she became. In the end, she actually fainted on the spot. Seeing this, her younger sister behind her hurriedly shouted, Quick, call 120. My sister has never seen so much money in her entire life. And at this moment, Mia, who was watching the scene, had almost rubbed the screen of her phone off with her fast tapping speed. And ordinary people wouldn't have this ability even if they had this speed. Mia regrets more as she thinks about it. If it weren't for her underestimating others in front of her, those thousands of rockets would be hers. And she is very clear in her heart. I only acted recklessly in front of her, just to tease her. But even so, what does it matter? After all, the speed at which I spend money is enough to drive her crazy for me. Mia became more and more excited. In the end, she even increased her affinity with me by a full 60 points. And as I looked at her silly and infatuated look, I was sweating profusely. Is this silly girl out of her mind? She can increase affinity even when I give gifts to others. Later, under Billy's lead, we arrived at the most famous private kitchen restaurant, Black Pearl. Then, Billy happily introduced, "Here is a membership reservation system. The privacy is also very good. Most importantly, this restaurant has 3 major selling points." Upon hearing this, I suddenly became interested too. In addition to delicious food and unique scenery, what other selling points are there here? Upon hearing this, Billy immediately started to flatter me. Smokey is indeed admirable. He quickly guessed the 2 selling points of this place. As for the third one, you will find out later. Soon we arrived at a pavilion. We saw a woman sitting on a stone bench, playing the zither. At this moment, Billy pointed to the woman and said, "Here's the third selling point. This is the boss's daughter, Cynthia." I, who witnessed this scene, was sweating profusely. How did Cynthia end up here? Just then, at this moment, Cynthia inside the pavilion happened to see me as well. She was about to greet me. But the next moment, her eyes suddenly widened. I saw a well-proportioned woman intimately linking arms with me. Seeing this scene, Cynthia's anger immediately exploded. She accidentally broke the gouging in her hand in half. At the same time, her affinity towards me also decreased by 5 points. Cynthia, thinking about the past, tears welled up in her eyes. It turns out that this guy is no different from those wealthy playboys. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but feel that something was wrong. I was so close to successfully conquering Cynthia. How could things go south at such a crucial moment? With that in mind, I immediately chased after Cynthia's figure. After chasing for a full 2.5 minutes, I pinned her against a corner of the wall in the yard with one hand. And at this moment, Cynthia was already in tears and unable to speak. "You scoundrel! Why are you playing with my emotions? Let me go!" The campus belle was just reprimanding me the previous second, calling me a scoundrel who deceives people's feelings. But the next second, she lovingly hugged my waist, asking me to never leave her. Just because I told her I had reasons I couldn't be a scum. It just happened earlier. Cynthia saw me intimately embracing Mia. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but think it was not good. It seemed like she was about to successfully win her over. How could I mess up at such a critical moment? Immediately, I chased after her. I pressed her against a corner of a wall in the yard. I saw Cynthia's affinity towards me was about to vanish completely. I had to use my trump card. Then I affectionately said, "Cynthia, have you ever watched a movie?" But Cynthia didn't want to listen to my nonsense. Instead, she angrily rebuked me for cheating on her and deceiving her feelings. I lit a cigarette at the sight. You must have always been very puzzled. I obviously come from an extraordinary family background. But why have I always been content with ordinariness? In fact, the family I belong to is a reclusive family. And there is an unwritten rule within the family. That is, the family heir must spend 1 billion within 1 month after turning 18 in order to inherit the family's entire estate. For this, I can only spend money desperately after I turn 18. I invest in various projects as well as charitable causes. I have even been involved in activities to protect the environment of the Earth. That is, moving the South Pole to the North Pole. And that girl just now is one of the female anchors I support. In order to continue spending money, I'm just putting on a show. I grabbed Cynthia's hand as I spoke. No one else knows about this except for you. I don't expect forgiveness from you, just understanding. But this secret has weighed on my heart for too long. Now I am tired. Let it be. I turned around without looking back and left. And I watched my lonely figure. Cynthia immediately started strategizing. I really am being too unreasonable. He is already exhausted from trying to inherit the family fortune. But I indiscriminately suspect him without reason. Thinking of this, Cynthia hugged my waist full of self-blame. Charles, please don't go. Please don't leave me, okay? It's my fault for wrongly accusing you. Upon hearing this, I placed my palm on the back of Cynthia's hand. Finally, we have passed through the difficulty. And feeling the warmth coming from the palm, Cynthia had a blissful expression on her face. He can even be candid about family inheritance, a secret like that. Charles really does have me in his heart. With Cynthia's self-strategy, her affinity with me instantly increased to 92 points. After sorting out Cynthia, I immediately took her back to the inner courtyard. At this moment, Cynthia, with a face full of apology, held my hand and said to Billy and me, I lost my temper just now and affected everyone's meal. Charles's friends are my friends. Let me treat everyone to this meal. Upon hearing this, Billy's eyes lit up instantly. It only took a short 2.5 minutes to settle everything, truly living up to the name Smokey. On the other hand, Mia had a dark look on her face. How dare she compete with me for a man, acting like she's the main wife. It's not certain who will have the last laugh. Later, Mia took the initiative to launch an attack. Smokey, you haven't introduced us yet. Upon hearing this, Cynthia's face was full of disdain, calling Smokey, bro, so intimately. Auntie, didn't my husband Charles tell you his name? Besides, he shouldn't be older than you. Please stop talking about Smokey incessantly. The momentum that Cynthia is currently showing is like the legendary vermilion bird in the sky. And Mia in front of her can't even compare to a mere village hen. Billy, who was watching the scene, was sweating profusely. The strength of a Do-Zone powerhouse is indeed terrifying. This is clearly not a battle on the same level. One is a beautiful live streamer who is a wealthy tyrant harvester. One is a wealthy heiress worth over $1 billion. They are now jealous and fighting over a mere simp. It happened just now. The female streamer Mia made a move towards Cynthia in order to compete for my affections. The aura that Cynthia exuded was as majestic as the mysterious bird in the sky. Mia was completely breathless under the pressure. After all, she is the daughter of a wealthy family. And she is just a cute female live streamer who relies on acting cute. But even so, Mia has not given up. As a wealthy heiress harvester, she is still very confident that she can defeat me. They are about to have a showdown at the dining table. I tap the bowl with chopsticks. Enough. Stop arguing. I'm hungry. Let's eat. Upon hearing this, the two women immediately exchanged a glance. Then, neither of them looked at each other. And watching this scene, Billy was so excited that he was trembling all over. Even though it had come to this, they still didn't start fighting. Smokey's way of handling beautiful women is truly unpredictable. You know, Mia is a well-known big live streamer on the platform. She even holds the title of a wealthy heir reaper. The rich second-generation individuals she has reaped could circle the city twice. Cynthia is a well-known local talented woman, coupled with her identity as a wealthy family's daughter. Countless wealthy young men pursued her. While Smokey was just a small wave, he could easily take down the two women with a simple move. Such superb skill in charming women. He's like a modern version of a male demon seducer. I used to think Smokey was just wealthy. I didn't expect that I was being superficial. Smokey, from now on, you are my spiritual idol. Watching Billy dancing with excitement, I had a puzzled look on my face. What is this guy up to? I went back to school immediately. At this moment, I looked at the system panel with a worried expression on my face. Although my ex-girlfriends Sandra and Coco have been thoroughly conquered by me. But Cynthia's affinity for me has always been stuck at 91%. And the female anchor Mia's affinity for me is also stuck at 92% and no longer rising. Just as I was considering whether to step up my efforts to win over both of them, I suddenly found out that there is another target to conquer at the back of the system panel. When I clicked and took a look, isn't this Russell's girlfriend, that idiot? What surprises me is that her affinity with me was only 25, but in just a few days, it has risen to 76. Just when I was proud of my own charm. But then I heard a classmate next to me teasing, "Go quickly and watch the show. There's a pure love warrior confessing his love under the girls' dormitory building." Upon hearing this, I suddenly became interested. I can't believe there are still pure love warriors these days. Let this master of pure love see who you are. At the same time, the area below the girls' dormitory was already surrounded by people. In the center of the crowd was a heart shape made of candles. Russell was standing there with a golden hoop on his head, holding a bouquet of roses, saying affectionately, "Darling, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Let me believe in us. I shouldn't have been harsh and cold towards you. Remember the good times we had. Please give me another chance." On the side, the little brother played the guitar wildly to set the mood. Hannah, who saw this scene, was visibly enraged. After all, she had lost interest in Russell long ago, especially after witnessing my speed last time. At this moment, I squeezed my way into the crowd. "Hey, isn't that Russell guy? Playing so awkwardly. Is he acting in the role of the ex before this?" And seeing me appear in the crowd, Hannah's eyes lit up instantly. The fastest man in her mind finally appeared. The pure love warrior publicly asked his girlfriend to reconcile in front of all the teachers and students in the school. Thought his romantic confession could easily win her over. As a result, the girlfriend left him and ran into the crowd. "You called Charles, right? Finally, I met you today." She then took out her phone. "Can I add you as a friend?" It turned out it was just now. Upon hearing that a love warrior confessed in the girls' dormitory, I immediately rushed over to watch the show. But when I squeezed into the crowd, I found out. The so-called pure love warrior turned out to be Russell, who bullied me every day in high school. I never thought that the sports god I used to envy has now ended up becoming a simp. And at this moment, facing Russell's heartfelt confession, Hannah feels no touch at all. She is fed up with this guy's emotional abuse long ago. Just at this moment, Hannah suddenly noticed me, who was watching from the crowd. Immediately, she threw away the rose that Russell had given her. She ran straight towards the crowd. Upon seeing this scene, Russell immediately cried out in disbelief. "Where are you going? Please don't leave me. Give me another chance, okay?" But Hannah came up to me with an excited expression on her face and said, "Finally, I've met you, Charles." She then started muttering to herself, "Today is truly my lucky day. How wonderful." Hannah then showed her own cell phone. "Can I add you as a friend? I've been waiting for this day for a long time." Seeing this, the pure love warrior beside them collapsed in response. It was really too painful. At this moment, Russell has long been engulfed by anger. Why Charles? Why would he be interested in Charles, this simp? What's so good about him after all? Seeing his painful expression, a faint smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. I've experienced this scene too many times. After all, the former me was famous at school for being a pure love simp. But I didn't have the slightest sympathy for him. Then I came to Russell's front. You may not understand why she is so indecisive. You may feel very unwilling. Upon hearing this, Russell immediately rebuked, "Charles, what do you mean? Even if it is so, it's not your turn to humiliate me." Upon hearing this, I couldn't help but turn my head and sigh. "Russell, actually, I have always admired you before. I have always seen you as the target I am chasing. You are not only handsome, but also good at sports. You can easily capture the hearts of girls, while I can only rely on pleasing others. But now I am faster than you. You find yourself losing your original halo, no longer as dazzling as before. The desire to win makes you want to surpass me as soon as possible, but this also makes you neglect your girlfriend's feelings. Have you still not figured it out yet? Even without my presence, Hannah would still leave you. You pushed her away little by little. Now it has come to this. You are here pretending to be pitiful and seeking reconciliation. Don't you feel like a clown now? Upon hearing this, Russell finally realized his mistakes. He immediately burst into tears, holding his head. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Seeing this scene, the onlookers began to discuss. So it wasn't a love triangle after all. This guy looks imposing. Turns out he's just a guy who's good at using emotional manipulation. Upon hearing my words, Hannah stood still in surprise. Then she looked at me tenderly, saying, Charles really understands me. At the same time, her affinity towards me has increased to 91. And this scene happened to be seen by Joan in the crowd. Charles is actually flirting with someone else again. I must go back and tell Cynthia. Thinking of this, Joan immediately left the crowd in anger. Soon she arrived at another building of the girls' dormitory. Joan kicked open the dormitory door. Oh no! That guy Charles is cheating again. The man is clearly trying to have it both ways. Yet he is still admired by all the girls in the school. Even the school's beauty queen girlfriend says the man is not wrong. What's wrong is his charm that has no place to be put. It turns out it was just now. Joan saw Hannah giving me meaningful glances. She immediately went back to the dorm and complained to Cynthia. Cynthia. Just now, a girl downstairs confessed her love to Charles. They were flirting with each other. Cynthia, however, calmly removed the mask from her face. Stop joking around. But it's definitely not Charles. Furthermore, someone else is going to confess. This is not something Charles can control. And it doesn't mean Charles is cheating, right? Upon hearing this, Joan angrily took out her phone and said loudly, Then how do you explain this hot search topic? He actually gave over 30 million to other women in the live broadcast room. But looking at the hot search, Cynthia seemed indifferent. Oh, this? Charles had already told me about it. And the amount he spent was more than 30 million, you know? Cynthia said as she patted Joan's head. The foundation of their relationship is trust. If Charles can proactively tell me about these things, then I naturally should believe in him. You are a forever single person who has never felt this kind of feeling. Upon hearing these words, Joan stood dumbfounded with a gloomy expression. How could such a gorgeous woman become so silly? Charles, what kind of love potion did you give to Cynthia? On the other side, I yawned out of boredom while playing murder mystery games. My roommate Ben immediately shouted at me when he saw me like this. Charles, can't you focus a little? Who falls asleep playing a murder mystery game? But before he could finish, the two female classmates across from us immediately scolded. Ben, why are you so loud? You'll scare Charles. We just like watching Charles sleep. Upon hearing this, Ben gnashed his teeth in anger. He was truly irritated to the extreme. At this moment, I pointed ahead and said, I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was you who insisted on bringing me here. But please explain to me why she is here. Sandra was in tears, fully immersing herself in the role. It's my own fault. I shouldn't have abandoned my childhood sweetheart, leading to his murder. I deserve the blame. There's no need for you to look for any suspect. It's me. Seeing Sandra like this, Ben awkwardly said, She came here because she heard you were here. But she seems to have recently developed depression and has been seeing a doctor for it. Upon hearing this, I had a pensive look on my face. Could it be that I went too far in what I did? Although Sandra hurt me before, it seems that she has genuinely repented after we bonded. Looking at Sandra's tearful appearance, my heart softened immediately. Although she is at fault, it doesn't warrant death. Am I being too cruel to her? Just as I was lost in thought, the voices of several girls interrupted me. Charles, are the rumors going around school true that you are the wealthy online celebrity Smokey? Upon hearing this, Sandra, who was beside me, immediately perked up her ears. She was also eager to figure out my true identity. I then rubbed my chin. I could be, or I could not be. Just then, a mocking laughter rang out behind us. If Charles is that uber-rich guy Smokey, I swear I'll kick my head down to him as a ball. A green-haired man, puffing on a cigar, disdainfully said, Smokey is on a different level. He's a billionaire who has spent a whole billion on the platform. Just a poor student like you dares to challenge Smokey. Upon hearing this, my face darkened. How did this guy also end up here? At this point, the green-haired man approached Sandra. Hello, classmate. My name is Terry, the owner of this script shop. I have noticed you for a long time. Can I add you as a friend? Upon hearing this, Sandra's face blushed slightly. However, her inner thought was, will this scene make that guy Charles jealous? The ex-girlfriend who was crying and begging for reconciliation just a second ago. The next second, she accepted the pursuit of another man in front of me. Just because the man is a multi-millionaire diamond second generation. I'm just a newly rich millionaire whose family has just been demolished. It turns out that just a moment ago, a few female classmates were discussing whether I was the legendary wealthy man Smokey. Suddenly, a green-haired man jumped out and mocked. How dare a poor guy try to deceive Smokey? Then he started pursuing Sandra in front of me. Seeing this, my face darkened. Terry is one of my romantic rivals from high school. He often relies on his wealthy and influential family to bully me at school. Knowing that Sandra is my ex-girlfriend now, she provocatively challenges me in front of my face. In response, I just sneer inwardly. If you want to act all high and mighty, then I will just play along. It's a good opportunity for me to not be too flashy in front of my classmates. I will also give Sandra a temptation test. Let's see if she truly repents. Thinking of this, I walked up to the green-haired man and introduced. This rich guy is Terry, my high school classmate. He is currently studying at 911 University and has even started his own company. His assets have reached the tens of millions level. You can say he is a solid diamond to your second generation rich. Upon hearing this, everyone looked shocked. To have amassed such wealth at such a young age is truly impressive. Then I shrugged. As for me, my family recently received compensation of several million due to our house being demolished. I'm definitely not the wealthy tycoon you all are imagining, Smokey. Upon hearing this, Sandra looked incredulous. Charles, this guy isn't Smokey after all. Does that mean I've been trying to please him in vain? Thinking about this, Sandra immediately compared me with Terry in her mind. One is a multi-millionaire academic genius. The other is Charles, who has some money and seems to like me. Does she still need to make a choice? After thinking it through, Sandra's affinity towards me instantly decreased dramatically. In the end, she actually ended the SIMP relationship with me. Then, she took out her phone and added Terry as a friend. At this moment, Sandra looks very pleased. It's really like losing sesame seeds and picking up watermelons. This time, she can cozy up to another top-notch wealthy man. At that moment, Terry walked up to me and taunted. Charles, isn't the world strange? Your ex-girlfriend clearly wants to add me as a friend right in front of you. It's really funny. Then he leaned in close to my ear and whispered, in the past, hitting you was like hitting a dog. Now, in front of me, you're not even as good as a dog. After saying that, he patted the employee next to him. This Charles is my old classmate. He made me very happy today. Their table will have their bill waived. Upon hearing this, I couldn't help but lower my head and laugh loudly. It was not because of Terry's sarcasm, but because I finally understood something. Ben, who was next to me, looked at me in this state with a worried expression. After all, anyone would feel uneasy when encountering such a situation. At this moment, I lifted my head and waved my hand. I just suddenly remembered some funny things. Then I smirked. Simp really deserves to die. I actually thought I was too heartless. I have already given you the opportunity you wanted. I didn't expect you to still be unable to change your bad habits. From now on, if I, Charles, show any mercy towards you, then I am a dog, and you are not worthy. Thinking of this, I was about to turn around and leave, but I was stopped by Terry behind me. Getting angry now. There's a high school classmates gathering tomorrow. Charles, do you dare to come? I naturally know this guy's intention. Nothing but wanting to embarrass me in front of old classmates again. Faced with such a good opportunity, naturally I have to give him a chance. Then I turned my head and coldly smiled. Since you are so sincerely inviting me, then I'll just have to accept your invitation. Here comes the school's white moonlight, finally appeared. But when we met, she took the initiative to ask for my contact information. This scene shocked all the high school classmates at the gathering. How could a goddess possibly be interested in a simp? At this moment, inside the private room 888 of the Jojo Hotel, Terry looks smug. Many old classmates are boasting. Today everyone must eat and drink well. I will foot the bill for all expenses. Money is meant to be spent. Please don't try to save money for me. Upon hearing this, several classmates immediately started flattering. When Anna arrives later, the brothers will surely speak highly of you. After all, you two are a perfect match in talent and appearance. It would be a shame if you didn't get together. Listening to them praise me nonsensically, I inwardly sneered. Terry, this guy, really doesn't miss any opportunity to show off. Just then, the door of the private room was pushed open by someone. Just then, a beautiful woman dressed in gorgeous attire walked in. This person was indeed the stunning Anna that the classmates had just mentioned, and following behind her was Judith, who had recently betrayed her good friends. Anna apologetically ran her fingers through her hair, expressing her regret for keeping everyone waiting. The driver from her house took a day off today, so she arrived a bit late after taking a taxi. Looking at Anna's exquisite face, I was instantly mesmerized. As my moonlight, Anna illuminated my entire high school life. She was so noble and mysterious, like a fairy who walked out of an ancient legend. She is like an unsolvable equation, making all the boys in the school go crazy for her. She used to be something that I could only hope for but not seek. Now that she's in my hands, I will definitely control her. Thinking of this, I immediately took out my phone and walked up to Anna. It's been a long time since we last met. Can I add you as a friend for easier contact in the future? Anna did not refuse. She was very popular in school back then, with not just 800, but even 1,000 guys liking her. For a moment, she couldn't remember who I was exactly. With Anna's agreement, the system immediately sent me a prompt. Anna's current affinity is 0. After a successful comeback, I will receive 35 attribute points and be rewarded with proficiency in English, French, Russian, and Korean languages. Upon seeing this scene, Terry's veins popped out in anger. What an audacious toad wanting to eat swan meat. I will make you die without even knowing how you died in a moment. And other classmates also looked surprised. In their impression, although I was a bit handsome, I wasn't as fierce-looking as now. Have I become so impressive after a few years of not seeing each other? Upon hearing this, Judith on the side sarcastically commented in a strange manner. Impressive? Are you acting tough for those second-generation rich kids as their lackey? Then she pointed at me and shouted loudly, Charles, don't think I don't know what you're up to. You're hanging out with Walter and some second-generation rich kids as their lackey. Those second-generation rich kids are all notorious playboys. Are you trying to get Anna's contact details to sell to them? Upon hearing this, Walter immediately rebuked, Judith, what nonsense are you talking about? You can eat anything you want, but you can't just say anything. To everyone's surprise, Judith pretended on the spot. How could I be talking nonsense? Walter, after emotionally breaking up with me like a cliff, now you are seamlessly connecting back. Are you even a real man anymore? She wiped her eyes fakely as she spoke. Because of you, this scumbag, I am depressed now. Upon hearing this, Anna on the side immediately showed a disapproving look towards us. At the same time, my affinity dropped by 10 points. At this moment, Terry also added fuel to the fire on the side, saying, "Charles, if you need money, I can introduce you to a job. But doing errands for those scumbag rich second-generation guys without a conscience is going too far." Listening to the two of them singing in harmony, my heart was sneering endlessly. Judith took the lead in defaming and slandering, while Terry mocked and assisted. It seems like they had planned this out in advance. If it were someone else, they would truly have no way to refute. It's just unfortunate that you encountered me. This time you brought your own faces to my feet. I immediately took out my phone and sent a message to Harold. "Drive my Lamborghini to the Kyushu Hotel." The rich second generation treated the whole class to a meal. But his purpose was to embarrass SIMP in front of his classmates. He thought that he could show off in front of the goddess this way. The goddess didn't play by the rules, though. Not only did she not accept his date invitation. Instead, she sat in the shotgun seat of the poor guy's car. It turned out it was just a moment ago, facing the combination of Terry and Judith. I was not flustered at all. Instead, I quietly took out my own phone and started to shake it at them. As the dinner came to an end, everyone got up and prepared to leave the hotel. And the classmates' boasting about Terry has not stopped. Indeed, money can support a person. You are really generous now. Unlike some people who can only act as lackeys for the second-generation rich. Listening to the praises from the classmates, Terry is also looking pleased. Now Charles and Walter, the two black sheep, have lost face. Tonight is simply a complete victory. He then walked confidently to Anna. "Anna, do you need me to take you home? Tonight, I am your dedicated driver. The passenger seat is always yours." Anna, however, directly waved her hand to refuse. She had encountered many pursuers before, but this oily one was the first she had seen. At that moment, a security guard from the door approached behind Terry. "Sir, you made it hard for me to find you. Could you please move your car?" Upon hearing this, Terry immediately got angry. "I've spent so much at your hotel, and now you won't even let me park? This is outrageous." Seeing this, the security guard quickly explained, "Sir, the parking spaces at our hotel are reserved for VIP guests after 9 p.m. We have a VIP guest arriving shortly, so we would like to ask for your understanding and cooperation." Upon hearing this, Terry looked disdainful. "VIP guest, huh? I'd like to see who this so-called VIP guest is." Later, Terry arrived at the parking spot and drove his Mercedes out. Then he leisurely parked on the side, waiting for the so-called VIP guest. He wanted to see who had such a strong presence. But the next second, a brand new Ferrari LaFerrari parked in the same spot. Seeing this scene, Terry was shocked. He had only seen this Ferrari LaFerrari at car shows. Just this one car alone far surpassed his net worth. And the person who got out of the car shocked him even more. It turned out to be Harold, the young master of the Zhang group. Seeing this, Terry broke out in a cold sweat. Luckily, he didn't confront Harold. Although he was also a second-generation wealthy, compared to this top-tier second-generation wealthy like Harold, he couldn't even compare to his nose hair. At this moment, Harold came running over with a smile on his face, shaking hands with me. "Smokey hasn't been seen for several days. How have you been lately?" Upon hearing this, I chuckled and patted his shoulder. "It's a bit of trouble for you to bring the car all the way to me this time." Harold quickly responded, "Brother, there's no need to be so polite. Moreover, it's my pleasure to bring the car for Smokey." Terry, who overheard this nearby, was so shocked that he could swallow a basketball. "I didn't hear wrong, did I? That car actually belongs to Charles. And Harold is being so polite to him." The classmates who saw this scene also started gossiping. "Charles is actually so wealthy. He could buy dozens of Terry's Mercedes with that Ferrari." Then several people looked at Judith. "Weren't you just saying that Charles is a wealthy second generation who is just a lackey for him? But now it seems like the wealthy second generation is more like Charles's lackey." Upon hearing this, Judith stammered, unable to respond at all. Seeing this situation, Anna on the side also caught on. It seems that Terry and Judith were just slandering Charles. And watching Terry acting like a flatterer, just like a pug towards Harold and me. Anna also showed a hint of interest in me. Although she is wealthy, she didn't bother to defend herself at all. This Charles is quite interesting, though. At the same time, her affinity towards me has also increased to 10 points. I smirked as I felt this information. Finally took the bait. Then I came to Anna's side. Classmate, may I have the honor of taking you home? Upon hearing this, Anna extended her hand in response. Sure. Later, Anna sat in the passenger seat next to me. We gradually drove away as our classmates envied us with their eyes. Seeing this situation, Walter immediately started to make sarcastic remarks. Terry, this person is better than someone and annoys people to death. This person is better than a dog and annoys dogs to death.